But how do you get the code is my question.
Yeah, I want to know where it comes from.
Let me rephrase.
Me as the agent.
I thought you were given the code. You actually create the code yourself.
Say, look right there.
You have to create a what?
It says email, and there's a check, and then so when you check the one down there, access code, you make it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can use.
That's why I got confused. On that slide, it said that the code that DocuSign is giving you.
DocuSign what it is, and then
So my point is, you can check that access code.
No, you will check that access code. You have
can
to.
also check access code required.
Correct.
And you can also go to the identity. Those three boxes could possibly be checked
There's
at the same time.
Right.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah. And it probably will look like that every time you use it. So, okay, so this is the easy part. The message window allows you to communicate with your recipient about the envelope. The message can be extremely effective in improving your success rate in getting documents returned. So, if you're going through every time and you're saying, hello, Kathy, this is so-and-so. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you. Please can fill out all the documents below listed in the envelope. If you have any questions, please call such and such or email such and such or text such and such or whatever. But every transaction that gets tiring. So anyway, so what you'll do.
The template is the email message itself too. That's a template.
Well, it's part of the template.
Okay.
So you're creating that template that's applied.
Okay.
So so when you fill all this out, this is what I was talking about before. Email message to all recipients. Take into account what part you're filling out whenever you do this, because whenever you do the email to all recipients, there's probably not a whole lot you're going to change per transaction. So there might be a few things where if there's an extra document or something like that, you might want to add. But as far as addressing everyone as a whole, probably not going to be a whole lot you're going to want to change.
Like please review and sign where appropriate or where indicated, something like that.
Yeah.
That's really.
Or if you want to add something else on top of that, like the thank you or whatever. Right. So point is, there's probably not a whole lot you're going to want to change. Now, if you want to add notes to specific agents, like we've talked about before, like you would do per transaction, the only difference is now you're doing it in a template to where it's applied per all the transactions. So let's say here, note to agent 1. Okay, and this is kind of what I was telling y'all before. Let's say her name's Kathy. You say, dear blank. You would probably write out the word blank or bold it or something like that to where it's so that you don't send dear blank on accident without reviewing. I've seen it happen. I've got newsletters.
I'm laughing because it will happen to me.
Oh yeah, I've gotten newsletters where it says dear comma, like they forgot to put Dylan, or dear blank, or whatever it may be. So dear such and such, just want to, or not dear, but whatever. The point is, you get my point. So just make sure that if you have any text that you might, or that you're going to interchange per transaction, make sure it's noticeable so that you don't accidentally send it as is. So, make sense? And then that's agent 1, add a note for signer 1, add a note for signer 2, add a note for signer blah, 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 blah. So,
do those just go to those certain people?
Yes.
It doesn't go to everybody, it just goes to each one unless you do all recipients.
All recipients is the one that goes to everyone. This message will be displayed to all recipients of the envelope. Note to agent 1. You can add notes that we've seen only by specific recipients here. If you want to add a note for signer 1, you'll click whichever one you want to add, click add, and then a box will come up. You'll type that, and then you'll save this template, and you don't have to do this over and over and over again. Now there might be 1 or 2 things you might want to change, but that takes literally seconds. So this is what it'll look like. Your proof. This is a DocuSign envelope to complete the contract. Please click sign document as soon as possible and call me at blank if you have any questions about the process or cannot complete it. Note to signer 1. Hi, signer 1. This is the contract. What else do you want to write? Note to agent 1. Please enter the name and email address of the buyer, blah, 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 blah. So anything you want to request that you know you're going to, this gets really easy. So all of a sudden you're just kind of streamlining the process. We do the same thing at our office. What we'll do is at the beginning of a transaction, we'll just send out an email with requests for all the documents we're going to need for the entire transaction up front so that everyone knows what they're responsible for. That's important, obviously, because if we, instead of doing that and trying to do it as we go, you forget things. Just like here, if you try to do it every transaction, there might be a catchy little line that you forget to leave in, or whatever your sign off is, or something that you want to ask the agent to do. There may be something that you get, but if you apply it in the template, you don't forget. So anyway, next, begin tagging the document. So you'll tag the document for signer 1, signer 2, signer 3, signer 4, in all the spots, just like you would in a transaction. Nothing different.
So, I think this is extremely obvious, but I want to make sure I'm getting
Comprehending it, okay?
Once you create this template and you drag in all the initial and the sign spots
Correct.
and save it, you don't have to do that again.
No.
Okay.
What do you mean you don't have to do it again?
Because the template's already going to have the initial here, sign here on it.
Yes, but if you add another page, you'll have to go in.
For every page you add, you'll have to
Yeah.
redo it. But for the pages that are already here, then you won't have to.
That's right. If you don't change anything and you do all this, you're through with it. But if you, once you get rid of it, do those marks still stay on the page in the envelope?
What do you mean, get rid of it?
Okay, let's say I marked all those.
Right.
Then I'm through with it.
Correct.
It's saved somewhere, right?
Right.
Okay. If I open that up, are those little initials down there still?
Well, the spots for the person to initial will be there.
But what I'm saying is, after I've initialed all those pages,
Right.
and it's saved, I'm through with it for right now.
Yes.
If I have to go back to that document, does it show me all those marks still there?
Yes.
But I have to go in and put the initials in again?
So if somebody's initialed the contract, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying when I send it off,
Yes.
I have to go down and redo all of them if I do it completely over again for some reason. Let's say there's something wrong on every page of that document
When you're creating the template?
when I'm creating.
If you create the template wrong, then you'd have to recreate it, the whole thing. Or you can edit the template. You can edit that template. You don't have to recreate it from scratch. Sorry, that's your question. Okay, so yeah, let's say you create it and you mess up something. If it's easier to scratch it and redo it, then you can do that. But you can also edit templates. You don't have to.
Okay. The reason I say that is once everybody signed it, I can go in and look at that document, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can I change anything on that document once it's sent back?
Should be able to. You're the admin.
And if there was an initial wrong or a page wrong,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I change that page.
Yes.
I can change any page on there after it's saved.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Sorry. Yes, ma'am. Yes, you should be able to. As long as you have administrative rights. Now, if somebody has just told you that you can look at the document and the other agent started the transaction and they have administrative rights, then you'll only be able to look at the document
Yeah.
if they didn't give you privileges.
But
If you started it, then yes. Absolutely.
that's all I need.
So, now every time you start an envelope, you can apply or match a template you've created and bypass the setup details. Your option to apply a template is under the Document Action menu when you start a new envelope and upload a document. You can choose Match a Template. DocuSign will attempt to automatically find a template that matches based on the document type, or apply a template. You choose an exact template you wish to apply to your template library.
When I make that template,
Yes.
I have about 32 pages in mine.
Okay.
Can I just, excuse me, that ain't gonna happen. Will all 32 of those pages come up, or am I gonna have to do each one separately?
If you've bundled those together from ZipForms and you've put those in DocuSign at the beginning of which we talked about, then it'll be just like this, but it'll say 32.
Yeah, it'd have 30, that's what I want, because I don't wanna have to go in and out and do that.
No.
Now, you're gonna show us how to get the templates from ZipForms into here?
We can do it. It's not in the PowerPoint, but we can absolutely do it.
I mean, don't you think we need to know how to do it?
I'm going to show you everything you can do on mobile here coming up. So after choosing your template after choosing your template library, click Add. If you try template matching and get this message, adjust your template matching settings. So let's see here. What was I trying to say here? If you're try template matching and you get this message, try adjusting your template matching settings. Anyway, if you're using the auto match, which is risky, then sometimes it might not find the template you're looking for. You can always go in and manually choose your template.
So let me make sure I understand this.
Yes.
Following the process that we outlined a minute ago, we did our ZipForms transaction cover sheet, completed all the data, pulled in the docs in. So the docs are populated with all the data and all the names. We selected eSign, modify in DocuSign. Then in DocuSign, we're going to select a template that applies to this ZipForms template that we brought over.
Correct.
And what that's going to do is insert all the initial and signature lines and date lines. It applies them to these ZipForm docs that we pulled in.
Correct.
Okay, I got that.
All right. So here's your template. Oh, you're good. Here's your template, right here. You've got everything that you've created. Now you'll fill out the names and email addresses. The document will now properly be tagged with each recipient's names. Okay. Change the action to address recipient to allow someone else to add signers, email addresses, and names to the envelope. This is what we were talking about. If you didn't want to give them all administrative privileges to change the document, but you want to just give them the ability to add other signers, email addresses, and names, and you can do that. But then again, this is all changeable once you've created a template, so you don't have to just use what's been given to you. You can make changes within that template. You can now choose how many roles you wish for the recipient to add. We talked about this last time. You can limit them to say you can only want them to add 3 recipients, but there's not really a point to that because, like, you can choose how many roles you wish for the recipient to add. So if you only want them to add, if there's only 2 recipients you know they're going to add, you can just click 2. But there's no point to that, in my opinion.
I don't want them adding anything.
So,
I want to have control.
there you go. Hey,
Turn that thing down, girl. Huh? Inside.
so anyway, here's a phone recipient, or the phone confirmation thing that we talked about earlier. Just going over again, it's the same thing. So, anyway, so the Live ID option allows you, here's the different security features. The Live ID option requires your recipient to enter a live or social ID, Salesforce, LinkedIn, Facebook, credentials before they can view the envelope. So if you can just do that instead. The access code allows your recipient or signer to enter an access code before they can view the envelope. Simply type any code into the box that appears after you select access code from the identity column. Choose your own code. The ID check asks the recipient to provide personal information available in public records, such as where they lived, before they can view the envelope. There are several different ways you can do this.
So that you don't provide that personal information, that DocuSign is going to reach out.
I guess.
Cloud.
I wouldn't use that one, though.
Yeah, that's kind of weird because you don't
Kind of
know
putting it
how
up
make
to-
an exact match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we learned in the title industry, not everyone did it right before we get a chance to handle it.
That's right.
So anyway, we're going to skip over this box section since nobody here uses it. Or actually, I'll just show you. Just show you what it is. Anyway, so you basically it's just like Dropbox, but you get more features. You can collaborate, teamwork, stuff like that. It's just stuff like that. So here's what you would do. You would add your box email address as a contact on your devices for easy forwarding, just like Evernote. Anyway, this is all pretty pointless for this group. Okay, so here we go. Here's the point that you wanted to know. Okay, so who here has an iPad?
A what?
iPad? iPad? Okay, first off, I wanted to show y'all something. Did you know that they make an adapter for your iPad that you can plug in an SD card into your iPad and upload your photos from an SD card to your iPad?
No.
It's $30.
What is it?
Do you take pictures with a camera, like an actual camera? And you have a little SD card? Yep.
Like a Nikon camera or something?
So if you have an iPad, you realize there's no slot for that, right? Well, they have an adapter that they make. You plug it into your charging, and then it just has a little box, and you just plug in your SD.
Oh, my gosh.
So
What's it called?
it's called a. It's on Apple's website.
What's it called?
SD card slot adapter. Which iPad do you have? iPad 2? Okay, so you'll have to get the one with the
white.
30-pin connector, not the Lightning. So that one will not be on Apple's website anymore, I don't think.
Okay.
But you can go
Well,
on.
it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about getting the new one. I think.
I'm getting a new one for Christmas. I'm pretty excited. So it's on Apple's website for $30. They also have them at the Woodlands store. I checked this morning because
It's an adapter.
it's an adapter. Me and my wife, we went to ice skating last night, and we went to Uni Sushi. It's our favorite restaurant in the Woodlands, and so we were taking pictures of all the pretty Christmas lights and stuff. And I was thinking, man, I love Apple. Like, I just love Apple, but it is unfortunate they don't have an SD card slot. And I got to thinking, they probably created one. I'd be willing to bet that they did. So I just Googled it, pulled up on their website.
And they sell it at the Woodlands store.
They do. I checked online. They have availability. I'm going to go pick it up this afternoon.
Can you go get one for me too? Your little quick 3-second purchase.
Get that app. I'm telling you. You walk in, you take a picture of the barcode, you pay for it with the same credit card that you buy music with. And since I have the fingerprint scanner on my phone, when you go buy music, you type in your password every single time. I just do my fingerprint scanner. It asks that as a confirmation of identity. So I went in there, took a picture of it, fingerprint scanned, and walked out. That's all I did.
Now, wait a minute. What'd you do?
Okay, so
Technology just blows my brain.
it's pretty neat. Okay, so Apple. Okay, let's take it a few steps back. We're going off topic here. I apologize. Okay, so
Yes, we have to learn this podcast.
So there's two different types of technology, and one of them was started by Sony, and the other one was started by Apple. Sony created NFC, near field communication. So basically, let's say, okay, so that's what they did. And then Apple created iBeacon. Now I'll tell you why iBeacon is so much better. I went to the Apple Store with my Apple Store app. Okay, you can go to the App Store and download it. It's called Apple Store. Okay, the logo looks exactly like that. It's got a little shopping cart with an apple in it. And
that's called, what app is that called?
Apple Store.
Apple Store.
I open it up, and I'm walking through the store, and I walk up to an iPad Air, and then all of a sudden, boom! It hits my phone and it says iPad Air. New A7 processor, 64-bit. It just starts telling me all of the specs of the product that I'm looking at. And I walk over to the iPad, boom, iPod Touch. Boom, 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 boom. Here's the price, here's the colors, all that. It starts showing on my phone what I'm looking at. Now, here's why that's going to be so cool in the next 3 to 5 years. And I hope that this works. And it should, because Apple's awesome. They already have this going at they already have this going at baseball parks, the Cubs in specific. They partnered with Apple, and they're trying it out. You walk into the baseball park, and iBeacon activates. You have your tickets that you've bought on your phone using the Passbook app, and all of a sudden, it pulls up a little map showing you exactly how to get to your seats in the stadium right when you walk in the ballpark. And it uses that near-field communication. Now, I mean near-field, I mean it's specifically within like a building.
Like Bluetooth or something.
Right. So it's only within a range. That's why it's different than like cellular data, because it's accurate to the foot. That's why they use this. So it pops up on the app.
You're telling me that little cart does that?
No, that's using the same technology.
Okay, now what app are you talking about now?
iBeacon is not an app. It's the technology that the phone uses.
Oh, okay.
So you walk in, you sit down. Let's say that Albert Pujols, or he doesn't play for the Cubs. I don't know who plays for the Cubs, honestly. Let's say that Albert Pujols is visiting with the Angels, and he goes up to bat. Boom, automatically pushes to my phone his batting stats and all of his information that is about that player. And then you can order food from your phone, and then the guy knows where you're at in the stadium, so he comes and delivers your hot dog to you. So now imagine a world, and this is kind of what they've been like hinting at. Imagine going inside a grocery store and buying all of your stuff
And being able to find it.
and just being able to find it, pay for it or just scan it, and then when you walk out the store, it charges a credit card affiliated with your phone, and you don't even have to check out.
Well, let me ask you something. With that fingerprint, can somebody get your card?
No.
Well, let me tell you something. Someone scanned my card the other day.
Put your finger on on the home screen. See?
Try again.
Somebody stole my
Look at
credit
this.
card information in the Apple Store. When I was doing I don't know if it was iBeacon technology or what, but the Apple Store rep scanned my credit card with this little machine on his hip or whatever.
Yeah.
And I immediately started getting bogus charges everywhere.
Well, did
Really?
you know that
Yeah.
I got my bill the other day and I didn't, they said.
So somebody hacked his,
Yeah, something.
but that's the reason I went into. I mean, this is safer than that because you're not even doing
Let me
it.
tell you what happened. I keep my card in a little wallet and I carry it in my pocket when I go into a store. I leave my purse and I hide it and I carry that because someone had one of those machines and came by me and
Right.
scanned my card. I got a 203.49 charge, plus they denied a $130 gasoline charge up in Canada, knowing that I had charged something here that same day, and there was no way I could be in Canada, so they denied that one.
Chase locked my card whenever I went to Arkansas to go deer hunt, and because first off, I've never really hunted in my life, and secondly, I went from Texas to Arkansas to go buy a deer hunting license, and so they called me and they're like, "Are you at Walmart in Hope, Arkansas, buying a deer hunting license?" I'm like, "Yeah." So appreciate the security. I mean, it's
Well,
nice.
see, LifeLock calls me a lot.
LifeLock.
All right, how
So
do we do this?
anyway, so where did I put my? There it is. So. Okay, so we're going to show you two different ways that integrate into ZipForms with your mobile devices. On the go ZipForm, note you will need to purchase ZipForm Mobile to be able to access ZipForms on a tablet. Have any of you had to do this yet? Okay,
You mean if
on your iPad.
And a
I have it
tablet,
on my iPad?
So you've purchased it already?
I guess I have.
ZipForm, which one?
ZipForm Mobile,
would that include an Android device?
yes. It's all. I'm assuming the apps are on the same stores.
And do you know what that costs?
I do not.
I did, I did it. All right, now which app is it?
I have ZipForm
It
Blind.
says $12.99 a year.
Well, there you go.
What are we looking for?
There you go.
ZipForm?
Yep. So $12.95 a year. Probably should have read the slide I was looking at.
Why do I have? Oh, I see. I know I have that.
So.
So Dylan, I have an iPad, I don't really use it,
That's a shame.
but if I was out with a client, I could do the same thing just by creating a hotspot with my phone and then logging on with my laptop. I've got the same access, same tools. All right.
And that's why this generation is so much more powerful than what you could do 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I remember somebody was telling me the other day that they had to go, like they remember back in the day when you had to actually go to HAR to do something to write a contract on a house. And that's just, that was way back in the day. So probably, I don't know how long, I'm not going to throw a number out there because that's not something I do with a woman or a room full of women, but there was a day where you had to do that. So anyway,
If I have it on my iPad, is it gonna cost me again to put it on my iPhone?
I wouldn't think so.
You should be able to go to your purchased apps. If you're on your iPad, you can go to,
Yes.
say,
Hmm.
you can go to the App Store.
Because I've got it on my iPad, but
Just go to zipformonline.com
Alright.
and it should put a mobile in front of it.
This is the App Store,
Uh-huh.
so it's the app.
ZipForm what,
Down
mobile?
here you have features.
ZipForm online.
Okay, .com.
Mhm.
And all these things came up.
And just click it.
I would go not on this iPad. So that means I bought them on my phone.
Okay.
But
So is
then,
this what I already have then?
and then I.
Yeah, I would
can
type it.
download
Just
the app
Logic.
from my phone.
It should do the same thing.
And it's
Okay, so
gonna
if I've got
download.
it on my iPad and I wanna put it here,
You
what do I
wanna
do?
go, where's your app store?
Go right there.
Oh, you already have it then.
Oh yeah, you created a shortcut. That's all you did.
Okay, but I already have it.
Yes. So you'll have to sign in, and if you're able to sign in, then you should be able to do it. But if you haven't done it before, then you'll have to pay $12.95 a year. And showing her to purchased.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to get to it on
I
my
have it on my iPad, but I don't have it on this phone.
Should be, yeah, there you
Oh, yeah, there it goes. He hit that arrow that was over here.
go. Ooh. Okay, so anyway, you'll have to scroll up and try and find it.
Well, I've got it.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, then you're good.
Bill, there's no reason I couldn't go into ZipForms and create a sample transaction, is there?
Absolutely
For
not.
teaching purposes?
Absolutely not. In fact, it's done all the time. We do it. So, oh, sorry. So,
Shelby, is there a Sprint store around here that you're aware of?
there's one on Research Forest
That's it, really big.
in the Academy parking lot.
There, aren't you?
Oh, so over on the other side?
Yes, I don't think there's one over here. So that's the closest one.
I do like to go to Academy, though, so maybe I'll
Do you have
do
the
my
same
reward.
Apple
Yes.
on your iPad?
Absolutely. I went and got my brother a pair of waders. I was very nice to him this Christmas. Those waders were about $180.
On this,
Trout
so I go
fishing.
here and
Duck.
and search, right?
Duck waders.
All the ones.
Insulated shotgun shell holders. He doesn't understand. He was like, I'll just use it for fishing. It gets too hot. It just gets way too hot. But he'll go out there one summer in the middle of August, in the middle of Port Aransas, where we go. He'll put them on for 15 minutes, and he'll come up and be like, I know what I want for Christmas. But he duck hunts a lot, so he'll use them. But they're thick. I mean, they're warm. So I asked him, I said, do you want fishing waders or duck waders? And he goes, well, I'll
Why does
just
it
use
say
the
it's
duck
free?
waders for fishing.
That's strange.
What's free?
It says the app is free for me.
The app is free, but and that's the way they do it so that you don't have to pay for it every time. You're paying for the subscription to access the program. The app is free I could download the app for free, but I don't have an account, so I couldn't use it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I've got one.
Yes. So you've already paid for it. So we're good so far? Okay. When you visit ZipForm website from your tablet or smartphone, you'll automatically be directed to the mobile site. So that's what I was talking to you about before. You don't have to type in the M. In fact, I didn't create this presentation. I just know how to talk about everything in it. So she messed up on that. You don't have to do that. Anyway, so it's going to ask you to start doing all this. Type in the name, transaction type, property type. You'll create it. Okay. Yeah. And then you'll have the template. You'll click the template that you wanted to pick, the 1 to 4 family residential. And it's going to pop up. And just like before, you'll start filling out information. But now, here's the curious part. I want to know if that template's going to work on mobile. That's what I'm curious about.
What, the cover sheet?
Yes,
On what, on the mobile?
on the mobile. That's what I'm curious about. If you do not mind, whenever y'all get a chance, because I don't have ZipForm account, I can't do this. If y'all wouldn't mind, shoot me an email after you've tried it, and if the cover sheet works, I'm going to add that in the presentation so that everyone else knows.
For the mobile.
Correct.
Yeah, that would have to be one of these.
Yep. So if y'all wouldn't mind.
On the iPad, it should have it too, shouldn't it?
It should. I just want to make sure. Because not everything that you do on your iPad you can do on your computer. And that's just
And vice versa.
correct.
Or whether that-
They used to say it's better to make this, put all your forms into ZipForms to start with on your computer if you're gonna do this in the field. Is that still the way it is, or is it working smoother on an iPad start to finish?
It's probably getting better. I mean, I can't speak from experience. Now, I've taught this class a couple times, and realtors, they say this works best for me. I'm not sure. Now, here's the thing. You see the changes to DocuSign, you see the new user interface. A lot of that has to do with mobile as well. They're trying to get this to where, obviously, since DocuSign is expensive, it's what, $180 a year if you don't use a TAR discount. So they're obviously trying to do it to where it all works smoother from start to finish. And you also got to take into account, it wasn't until, what, 2 or 3 years ago that you had cellular on your iPad anyway. So this is new for them to try and get them to caught up to speed. I don't know if I mentioned it to this class before. A lot of people think, man, Dylan, I have this huge hunkin' machine right here, and it feels like I just can't do some things on it. That's true, because it's easy to add a CPU in there that does twice as what it did before, because making a CPU is really easy. It's done in a factory somewhere, and it doesn't have to do that. But I think I talked about before, the operating systems, the software, all of that, it's more like artwork. It takes time to update because you got to write endless lines of code and things like that. So whenever people are frustrated because they have an iPad and they feel like it should do so much more, it has the potential to do a lot. Now, whether the software for DocuSign, ZipForms, and all that has caught up to what the iPad can do, that takes time. I mean, they just added a 64-bit processor to these iPads. What does that mean? That means that it has the same processor your computer has in it, is what it means. So a lot of people, make the
on the new Air?
on the iAirs, yes. Now, what does that mean necessarily? All that means is that it has the potential to do a heck of a lot more than what it's doing now, but at the same time,
The software hadn't gone up.
exactly. So, I had an argument with somebody, and it wasn't really an argument. I feel like people want to argue more with me because I'm an Apple fan. I really don't necessarily get agitated if you're a Droid user. Use whatever you want to use, whatever is easier for you. And, they're saying, the 64-bit processor is pointless. I agree. Right now it is, but you're raising the bar of what it can do. So the software has not caught up yet. So
When it does and you have it, then you're ahead.
Well-
You'd have to buy another iPad, you know what I'm saying?
right. I mean, there's already apps that engineers have developed, and I've read online. Boeing is one of them. You can actually, Boeing uses all the new iPad Airs in their factories now, because you can do the exploded views and all of that, look at the parts rotated all the way around, and it's so much faster and way more detail oriented than it's ever been. But anyway, we're getting off topic again. So, but the point is that if you ever feel like it can't do something, it's not the iPad. It's always going to be the software. Now, if your iPad starts running really slow when it's doing something, then that's your iPad. But if it's just, man, I wish this was an option. I wish I could do this. Why can't I do this? That's more of the software than it is anything. So I'm going to turn this so I can click it. So anyway, you'll be filling all that information out. Now here comes the fork in the road. Okay, the DocuSign mobile site compared to the DocuSign iPad app, and this is very important to write down. The DocuSign mobile site allows you to apply templates, email to self, and email to DocuSign. The DocuSign iPad app is easy to sign in person. You cannot apply templates, and it requires a box account. I don't know that. It can't be right.
That one, I'm copying.
No, go ahead.
Requires.
I don't think that's true. I could be wrong, but I've never tried it. You have the DocuSign app on your iPad, right?
Yes, which I don't know how to use on
Okay.
iPad.
Okay, we're gonna go
But
through.
I don't know which one it is, I'm just looking.
If it's the app, it's the app. But if it's the mobile site, it's
So, kind of a silly question, but my only option to put it on my phone is gonna be the DocuSign mobile site.
no. It's you can download iPad apps. I think for your mobile device. You should no. May
So what's the,
Yeah, which is this?
so which one do I want? Do I want both of them, so that, I mean,
that's what I would do.
if they do different things,
Yes.
it seems silly.
So you're going to come to that fork, and you're going to have to decide what path you want to choose. That sounded
What
really
is
deep
that
in metaphor.
required
It says
box
DocuSign.
box account?
We're going to get into that. I'm pretty sure that's not true.
How's that? Did you
Okay.
leave? It's pulled the word from Zip.
So if it says DocuSign Inc., do you know what that means?
I've got both of them on my phone.
So anyway,
Is DocuSign Inc. one of those two options, or is that a third option?
that's the third option.
It's a third option.
Well, what's the first two?
So if you search DocuSign, you have two options. DocuSign. Actually, no.
There's
Just
DocuSign. And there's DocuSign Inc. I got both of them too, Jim. I don't know what
Well, I
the
came up
difference
with
is.
two DocuSign E's.
it's the one on the left.
On your iPad?
PDF.
Yeah, and that's the one I have.
Yeah,
Let's see.
that's the one that I have, is this one. See, that one's for good. This
See,
one-
that's the one I
Yeah.
have.
This one I got, DocuSign Inc., this one.
Yes, and that's the one that I use.
Okay, now let me show you something. I've got both of those. I've got this one, and then there's another one that you have.
So,
I've got this one.
excuse me. No, you're fine.
Unless it tells you.
It's my big feet. So, here we go.